All right, everybody stand up for a minute. Just I'm going to change consciousness here. Oh my God, everybody did what I told you to do. You gave up your freedom. Oh, one.
Predict.
That's good. Come on, come on. All right, now everybody sort of jump with me.
Why?
Why not?
Well, why?
Oh, that's good. He asked why. Well,
Give me a reason to jump, I'll jump.
Because it feels good.
What if I don't think it feels good?
That's good. Then maybe you shouldn't do it.
Okay, well, I won't.
Okay. Everybody do whatever they want to do. But you can sit if you'd like. You get that on film? All right. Okay. By the way, some of the reading materials, here are the books here. And if anybody wants to borrow any of these books from me for a day or two, Jean-Jacques Rousseau on the Social Contract, French guy, Karl Marx, Frederick Engels, the Communist Manifesto, Jean-Paul Sartre, who wrote during the Nazi occupation and was banned material because he talked about how Frenchmen really did have free will and didn't have to do what they were told to do. This is another one, Basic Call to Consciousness. This is written by I never get it right, Haudenosaunee, which is the Six Nations and the Iroquois. We're going to be learning about this, about how the Indians and how they lived. Actually, the Bill of Rights came a lot from the way they lived. And there's John Locke too, who we all hate by now if you read any of his stuff. And that's so. Anyway, I'm gonna here's some quotes, and I just want to read those to you, and then we can comment on them. Is human nature already there, or are we born into existence like blank slates, and then we fill in the chalkboard? Just think about that. When a baby's first born, is it just totally blank, and then somebody fills you up with all sorts of stuff? I think it was Alicia talked about she learned right from wrong. She would have learned it by observing other people. But when you're first born, are you completely blank, or do you have something already there? When we choose who we are also choosing who we should be, thus making a moral judgment on how humanity should be. So if I decide, like Forrest, to throw a rock at somebody's, I shouldn't say this on video, I decide I don't like somebody or do something, according to Sartre, I'm making a decision on how all humanity should be. If it's good enough for me, it's good enough for everybody else. And Sartre says, in truth, one should always ask oneself, what would happen if everyone did what I'm doing? If everybody did what I'm doing, what would happen? Dostoevsky once wrote, if God does not exist, everything is permissible. He believed that all morals somehow stem from some transcendental being, and if God isn't there, everybody can do anything they want. There's no superego, only id. Sartre wrote, man is condemned to be free because he did not create himself, yet nonetheless free because once cast into the world, he's responsible for everything he does. So you're free, according to Sartre, because you're responsible. And Rousseau said, man is born free, and everywhere he is in chains. So think about that. Okay, I want to talk about the family. The family, we talked a little bit about that. The family is the first kind of, sort of the vestige of government. Who's the boss in your family, Winona? Anybody? Could you call anybody the person who's the boss? Okay, the parents don't have the final authority? They don't get to say, this is what you got to do? Not really. Okay. Would you call your family a democracy? People get to vote on stuff, or? Somewhat. Who lives in a family or has a family that is more like a dictatorship?
He's not the dictator either.
Oh, okay. All right, we will.
I remember when Karuna was 7 and she said to me, "You're not the boss." And I said, "Who is?" She said, "Mom."
All right, a maternalistic society, the Kindfields. Okay, how about in your family, Christina? Christy? Your dad? Your dad's kind of the ultimate, the boss? Do you get to, if he says do this, do you get to question what he said? No. You got to do it. No appeal. Nothing like, well, can you argue your point? No. Okay. How about Molly? Is your mom the ultimate authority? No.
Not at all.
What's that?
Not at all.
Not at all. That's now. How about 4 years ago?
No.
No. Okay. What if she says, you got to eat this, or you got to dress this way? Do you have...
I moved out when I was 12.
You moved out when you were 12? Okay. You overthrew the government. You had a revolution. Okay. How about Zach? So to have your dad leave the room so you can tell me this? Oh, he's holding his ears.
I'd say it was a combination of mom and dad, like oligarchy. They decided jointly, but it's still just them too. Really.
Oligarchy, is that what you call them?
An oligarchy, I guess.
All right, what's...
I do have a little bit of say.
You have a little bit of say.
But if he says, all right, we're going to go, and you don't have any say in it, you don't really have any say.
Okay. Well, the family is the first form of government. In the state of nature, you know, if we're totally in state of nature, if we're like deer, we're just running wild. We can kind of do whatever we want to. We eat, we do whatever we want to. But in a family, we're giving up control. We're giving up some of our freedom because of the safety and security of the family. We're getting, your dad and your mom are maybe giving you security or safety. In some circumstances, maybe not in others. You're getting food, you're getting protection, you're getting somebody who's actually looking after you, and in exchange, you're giving up some of your freedom. That's true in some cases. Does that make sense? So that's sort of the... Henry David Thoreau says, though, about government, after all, the practical reason why, when the power is once in the hands of the people, a majority are permitted for a long period of time to rule, it's not because they're most likely to be right, it's because they're physically the strongest. Have your parents are they rule in your family because they're the strongest? How about you, Christy? Do you have to listen to your dad because he's stronger than you? Or is there some other reason? Because he's a parent. Okay, and what gives him the right to tell you what to do because he's a parent? What? You don't know. Just you know that because he's a parent, he has the right to tell you what to do. And when you leave home, let's say, how old are you now? 16. Are you going to leave home when you're 18 or 19? Okay, when that happens, will you have to listen to him anymore? Probably not. Probably not. So when you leave home, suddenly the government changes. You no longer have to listen to your parents, where you listened before.
In my family, it's more of a respect kind of thing.
A what?
Respect.
Respect.
Like, you taught me this, so I'm going to be obedient. You know? And, or more, not a respect like I respect him, which I do, but it's like, I have respect for your experiences, and that you have experienced more things in life than I have.
Yeah.
So you probably know better on those situations.
Okay. All right. Yes, you have what's...
Okay, that's her
Oh.
Quaker hands. This means I agree with you.
Oh, agree. Okay, I see. Okay. Everybody... Oh, yes, Zach.
What do you mean you have to do something? You don't have to do anything. You can break the law if you want.
You can.
You get punished, but
Right.
you have to obey the law.
You have to obey the law because you'll get punished if you don't, right?
Yeah, but
You don't have to, right. But you're somehow choosing to do stuff, like in your family, when your dad tells you what to do. Are there times that you'll do something that you really don't want to do, but because he told you, you'll do it? That happens. And is that because you'll get punished if you don't, or you think he knows better than you? Because he knows better than you. So even though you think maybe he's wrong, you think just because he's been around a while and you know also that he cares for you, he's probably, what he's telling you is probably going to be good for you, right? Is that the kind of thought you go through? Thought pattern?
Yeah, I guess, but what about unjust laws?
What about what?
What about unjust laws? Like
Unjust laws. Okay, now, we're talking about parents. The father, there's this thing in American or Western civilization, the father knows best. There's this very paternalistic, foundation of our government. The father knows best. Remember George Bush has been telling us for the last number of years, I have to do this, I have to take away all your liberties so you can feel more secure. This is the way I'm going to protect you. He's kind of being like a father figure to us, right? Like, hey, you're going to be safer. I'm going to make you safer. So give up some of your freedoms to be safer. So does everybody know what the social contract is? A social contract is this is part of, so you're in a family, when you were born into a family, you didn't really choose Peter and Ann, right? You just got stuck with them. Come on, admit it.
I don't think stuck is the right word.
All right.
I more got pushed into the same hole as them.
Yeah, but you kind of find yourself there, and you didn't really have, even though you're painting your family government as a very democratic, everybody respects each other, nobody really says anything. In fact, you don't have a whole lot of choice. If you didn't like it, well, maybe now. How old are you?
15.
15, okay. But, maybe like 4 years ago, if you decided you didn't like your family and your family government, you wouldn't have a whole lot of choice about leaving and going somewhere else, right? You're sort of stuck, right?
By law, but
Yeah.
I could leave.
Right, you could leave and you'd probably be found and brought back again. And if you kept leaving, they'd put you in some foster home. So, but the point is that in a family, the government that you're in, you don't have much choice. You're kind of thrust into it, you're born into it, and later on as you get older, maybe you have greater choices. But, so let's go back to, we're all deer. We're wandering through the farm woods, we're all deer, we're free to do what we want, but we decide that we're not getting enough to eat. We don't have shelter, and now we have this disease that's killing us all. We have to figure out some way of protecting ourselves. So instead of just being by ourselves, we decide to all get together. All the deer decide to get together and figure out what can we do as all of us to protect ourselves, because we figure there's greater strength in numbers.
Halfway through that meeting, they all die.
And they all die. That's possible. But that's kind of what government is about. Government is a whole bunch of people deciding, I'm going to give away some of my freedom to have whatever I do, what I want to do, and I'm going to join up with everybody else and have what's called a social contract. I'm going to make a contract with everybody else, and we're going to agree that we're going to have government, and that government's going to protect us. It's going to protect our ability to have food and shelter, but instead we're going to have to give up certain freedoms to do certain things. Now, I want to talk a little bit about property, and here's where I get back. Noah, where's my computer? It's not here.
Probably
Okay.
in your house, it's yours.
All right, okay. Now, Locke says we have the liberty to do whatever we want to do. And that's the right of self-preservation. We have the right to keep ourselves going. We have the right to eat and drink, because if we don't eat and drink, we're going to die. So that's a right. That's what John Locke says. And so, if I have the right to eat, I have the right to keep myself alive. Who has anybody have any food here? Did anybody bring any food? You got it on you?
It's in the fridge.
Okay. Well, if I have the right to eat, I should be able to go and take Peter's food in the refrigerator. So I'm picking on the Kindfields. First I'm stealing their computer. Next I'm taking their food. But I could take Pete's food, right? Is that right? Can I just go into the refrigerator and just take Peter's food?
You have the right to eat too.
Everybody agree? Everybody agree that I can take Peter's food? No. How come? Why can't I? Because it's his?
No. It's not his.
It isn't?
No.
It's mine?
No.
Whose is it?
It's the family.
It's the family's. So it's the Kindfields got that food somewhere, and now I can't have it.
Well,
Right?
If you asked and we said
If
that,
I ask,
yeah, if you asked and we said that you could, then you could.
if I ask, but if I don't ask, I couldn't. Okay, let's pretend John Locke says, this is a very sort of Christian point of view, that John Locke, and the reason we talk about John Locke is a lot of the U.S. government, the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights is based upon his theories. John Locke says that God gave all of us the earth to take what we wanted. That's all of us. And I can, let's say, we'll call it acorns. Acorns fall from the tree. I can pick them up and eat them because I have the right to live. So I can take them. So everybody's food out there is everybody's. But I don't, John Locke also says, I don't have to ask permission to take it because, since it's everybody's, I'd have to ask 3 billion, how many people on the planet right now? 3 billion people and counting? Every time, 8 billion? I'm behind the times.
Just past some billion.
Okay, 7 billion people. Every time I go and pick up an acorn, because that acorn was given by God, whoever that is, but it was given to everybody on the earth. I got to ask 7 billion people if I can eat that acorn. Well, I'd starve to death. I'd never get permission. What if Noah, of course, is going to tell me I can't eat it, right? And Karuna, because it's the Kindfields. I'd have to ask everybody. So John Locke says, because I have a right to preserve myself. I have a right to preserve myself. I can go pick up acorns and eat them. And I don't have to ask permission because that's ridiculous. I would die if I had to ask permission. Okay? So he says what you take with your own hands is your property. And what you work, every time you work, if you work your labor, that's your property. That comes out of your right of self-preservation. That's how John Locke defines a property right. So, what's different in the Native American approach to John Locke? Remember, all these white people came over to the New World and came face to face with all the Native Americans, and they had sort of a different way of looking at things. What the Peacemaker says, who is a person who organized the Haudenosaunee, things that humans need for survival, food, clothing, shelter, protection, are things to which all are entitled because they are the gifts of the great Creator. Nothing belongs to human beings, not even their labor or skills, for ambition and ability are also the gifts of the great Creator. So, Locke also says, John Locke says, you can't take more than you need. But Locke says it's all, everything. I can take Peter Kindfield's food, but he also says I really can't take it because I don't need it. I'm already fed already. I got other food. The Native Americans say we don't own anything. We don't own anything, but we have to sort of use our more spiritual awareness to decide how to use things. Marx and Engels, who produced the communist theory, talk about property, and they talk about how property is all about a fight between those who own and those who don't own. It's the class struggle between the two. And the owners take more than they need, and the workers get the shaft. That's what the communists will say. You know, there are people, who here has worked, who's done a job for pay? Anybody work for pay? Have you always felt that you were getting paid fairly? Who felt that every time you worked, you got paid fairly? No. Do you all feel like you worked and you should have gotten paid more? Yeah? So did you feel like you were exploited by whoever was paying you? Taken advantage of? What's that?
What if they didn't pay you?
Well, if they didn't pay you, even worse. Come see me. All right. That's what Marx says. Marx says there are people who are the owners, who are the bourgeoisie, they call them, and the proletariat. That's the rest of us who are working, slaving away. And in Locke's mind, the bourgeois are taking much more than they should. Locke says everything is God's gift, but some people are taking more than they should take. Okay. Again, our assignment is a 2 to 4 page. Yes? What if you don't believe in God? That's fine. I'm just telling you what Locke says. I'm not necessarily telling you what I believe or what you should believe. I would never tell you that. This is just what John Locke says. The Native Americans aren't, at least the peacemakers, aren't into necessarily a person who's a god, but more that everything is God. You can also not believe in God at all. And still, how about that? Dostoevsky said if there was no God, everything would be permissible. Who here, maybe I shouldn't ask you that. I won't ask you your religious beliefs. But let's say there was no God, no spirit, nothing like that. Would this still be right or wrong? Who believes that there would still be right or wrong without any God or religion? Okay. Forrest, why?
Well, human instinct.
Human instinct. So you think right and wrong is just something that comes with you as a human being?
Well, God did.
What's that?
I don't think some supernatural being gave us the
Okay. Are you born with a sense of right and wrong, or do you learn that?
You learn it.
You learn it. So babies, you think, are completely immoral? They have no morals whatsoever. Just give me, when they say cry, give me the titty. I want it now, right? That's what a baby does. They don't care if their mom's sleeping and needs more rest. They want whatever they want now, right?
Right, yeah.
So, okay. All right, anyway, what is the price of freedom? That's like a composition from all of you. Turn it in at the beginning of class next week, 2 to 4 pages in length. And we'll talk a little bit more about this, about the beginnings of government, and we'll keep going on. Anybody have any questions? No? Okay. Yes?
What if you're younger? Do you still have to do that many pages?
What's that?
What if you're like one of the younger kids who's in that class? Do you still have to do that many pages?
What if you say it again?
She's asking if because they're like the 10 and 11-year-olds have to
Oh,
do
okay.
4 pages or if it's
All right, okay, you can, sure.
because they're young.
Sure. We'll give you the younger exception. Okay.
Shouldn't Peter get an older exception and he has to do like 10 pages?
Well, do we want to form a government here to just particularly vote on this issue?
Yes.
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 No.
I'd like to remind you that I am the teacher in one of the classes that you take, and I get to control the homework.
I think
that you
Peter's
do.
trying to coerce the younger students.
Peter's trying to coerce. Okay, let's take a vote. I just want to take a vote. It doesn't necessarily mean the majority. Should Peter Kindfield do a 10-page paper? Who votes yes?
You might end up doing that.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Should Peter 6? Should Peter? Now wait a. You can't. You're lobbying at the polls, Peter. 10 feet away from the polls, please. Okay, who thinks Peter should not do a 10-page paper? Okay, there's 1, 2, 3. 4. 5. Oh, you're voting twice. Okay. All right, it's about even. I get about even, so since it's close, we'll let Peters decide. We'll give him the discretion to do what he wants, the freedom to do what he wants. Okay, class is dismissed. Thank you.